Welcome to Cheetah Secrets. Let's dive into today's story. Everything began with what was supposed to be a simple party. Hey, babe. Amanda called from the bedroom one Saturday evening. She was buried in her closet, comparing dresses like she was preparing for an audition. Red or black? Which one looks better? I leaned against the doorway, smirking. Black. Always black. The red one is too bold for you. She shot me a playful grin. Bold is exactly what I'm aiming for. Back then, I should have realized that line alone was a warning. Amanda was never one to draw attention. She was organized, calm, steady. A woman who made lists for groceries, errands, even weekend plans. But for the past few months, something in her had shifted. She'd be more restless, going out more often, seeing people she'd never mentioned before. This is just another networking thing, she'd said about the party. And like a fool, I didn't question it. I trusted her. That night she left looking breathtaking, hair flowing down her back, lips painted a dangerously striking red. I kissed her at the door. Try not to have too much fun without me, I teased. Promise, she said with a smile that, looking back, wasn't as genuine as I believed. After she left, I stayed home, lazily flipping through channels. The silence in the house felt heavier than usual, and I kept glancing at my phone, waiting for her to send an update. Around midnight, I finally texted her. Hey, having a good time? Yeah, it's great. I'll be home soon. Her reply calmed me for a while, but as the hours dragged on, anxiety crept back in. By 2 a.m., I couldn't even concentrate on the movie anymore. Something felt off. Amanda never stayed out this late, especially without checking in. I kept staring at her message, debating whether to call. Relax, Kevin. She's fine, I told myself. But by 3 a.m., I was pacing the living room, imagining every terrible scenario, an accident, a fight, something wrong. Then, just as I reached for my phone to call her, the front door creaked open. Amanda stumbled inside. Her hair was a tangled mess, lipstick smeared across her cheek, mascara streaking down her face. One heel dangled from her hand, and the overwhelming smell of alcohol followed her as she shut the door. Jesus, Amanda, I said, rushing toward her as she nearly tripped over the rug. What happened? She laughed, an uneven, slurred sound, and brushed me off. I'm fine, she muttered, word sick with booze. Just had too much. No kidding, I said, holding her upright as she wobbled. Her eyes were unfocused, her makeup smudged like she'd been crying or sweating. I helped her drink some water and guided her to bed, chalking it up to a wild night. Everyone deserves to blow off steam, or at least that's what I told myself. The next morning, she barely spoke. She flinched when she sat down for breakfast, like even moving hurt. You okay? I asked, setting down a cup of coffee for her. Just hung over, she mumbled. But the days that followed told a different story. She was distant, irritable, and constantly on edge. And then there was her phone, always face down, always in her hand, even when she went to the bathroom. One night while we were on the couch, I finally asked, Is everything all right with you? Of course it is. Why would you even ask? Her tone was defensive, too defensive. I let it go. I shouldn't have. A week later, I came home earlier than usual. When I walked down the hallway, I heard her voice coming from a bedroom. She sounded tense, calm but clipped, like she was talking to someone important. Yes, that works. I'll come in around 11, she said. A pause. No, I prefer to keep this private for now. Yes, thank you. See you Thursday. My stomach tightened. It didn't take long to guess she was making some sort of medical appointment. But why hadn't she said anything to me? I knocked gently and stepped in. Everything good. I asked casually. Amanda jolted like I'd startled her. Kevin, I didn't hear you come home. She slid her phone into her pocket quickly and forced a smile. Yeah, everything's fine. Just chatting with a friend. A friend? That didn't sound like any casual conversation. She was stiff, nervous, and the tone she'd used earlier wasn't friendly. It was professional. Oh, I said lightly. Anything interesting? Not really, she replied too fast. Just planning something for next week. She fussed with laundry on the bed, avoiding my eyes. If it was nothing, why did she look guilty? The whole thing gnawed at me, but I tried to ignore the feeling. The day of her appointment, I did something I never thought I'd do. I followed her. I know how that sounds, but the uncertainty had become unbearable. She left just after 10:30 a.m., dressed casually, jeans, sweater, purse over her shoulder. I waited a couple of minutes, then grabbed my keys and trailed behind her at a distance. She drove across town and pulled into a small, unmarked health clinic. My heart sank. This wasn't a regular doctor's office. It was a lab, a testing center. My mind spiraled with possibilities, each worse than the last. She stayed inside for about an hour. When she came out, her shoulders were tight, and she walked quickly to the car. She had no idea I was parked only a few spaces away, watching. That night, after dinner, she said she was going to shower. The moment water hit the tiles, I went into the bedroom and opened her purse. My hand shook as I searched through it, half praying I'd find nothing. But then I saw it, folded neatly in the side pocket. A receipt. I unfolded it. Laboratory Services, STD panel. The world seemed to tilt. My stomach twisted as reality hit me with full force. She had taken an STD test. Why? Was she sick? Did she think I had cheated? Oh, was she the one hiding something she couldn't admit? I shoved the receipt back into her purse as the shower turned off. I rushed to the living room and pretended to scroll my phone, heart pounding like a drum. Whatever secret she was keeping, I knew the truth was coming. Later that night, Amanda fell asleep unusually early that night. She said she wasn't feeling well, and even though my gut twisted, I didn't push her. The image of that clinic receipt kept flashing in my mind like a warning light I couldn't shut off. Why an STD test? What was she afraid I'd discover? When her breathing finally settled into that deep, steady rhythm that told me she was fully out, I slipped out of bed. Her phone rested on the nightstand. I hesitated, my hand hovering above it, but the need for answers drowned out every trace of guilt. I took the phone and sat alone on the couch in the dark. The screen's glow felt harsh against the silence. I hated myself for snooping, but the uncertainty was eating me alive. Her phone wasn't locked. It had never mattered before. Tonight, it did. I opened her messages and began searching. Most conversations were exactly what I expected. Work chatter, friends checking in, random everyday stuff. Then I saw a name I didn't recognize, Jenna. The chat began casually, Amanda thanking her for the party invite. But the tone shifted the further I scrolled. Go, you were out of control. I still can't believe everything you did. Don't remind me. I barely remember half of it, Amanda replied. Well, I saved proof. If you ever forget, I've got you. A knot formed in my stomach. Proof of what? I opened the first attachment with shaking hands. A video loaded, grainy but clear enough. Amanda, unsteady on her feet in a crowded room, music blasting. A man pulled her close, and she didn't stop him. Then another image, her laughing, surrounded by men whose intentions were painfully obvious. Then came the file that destroyed whatever hope I'd been clinging to. The footage showed Amanda in a private room, completely out of control. The camera didn't capture every detail clearly, but it didn't have to. What she was doing, and who she was doing it with, hit me like a punch to the chest. There were multiple men in that room with her, and she wasn't resisting any of it. I shut off the video halfway through. I couldn't watch another second. My lungs felt tight, like the air had thickened around me. This wasn't a drunken misstep. It was a complete collapse of everything she and I had built. I knew I needed proof. I didn't know what my next move would be, but I couldn't just leave this a memory. So I forwarded every message, photo, and video to my own phone. When I confirmed they were sent, I deleted the entire thread from her phone, carefully, completely. If she checked later, she'd never know I'd seen anything. I sat in the dark for a long time, gripping the phone with numb hands. The woman I loved, the woman I trusted completely, had turned into someone I didn't recognize. I wanted to wake her and demand answers, but I couldn't. Not yet. I returned her phone to the nightstand exactly how I found it and stayed awake until morning, feeling like my world had been ripped apart. When Amanda got up the next day, I didn't say a word. I simply opened my messages and began forwarding the evidence to her family, her closest friends, everyone in her life who believed she was still the perfect, trustworthy Amanda they admired. Moments later, she walked into the living room, her face going pale as she looked down at her vibrating phone. What did you do?" she whispered, horror written all over her. "I told everyone the truth," I said, my voice flat. "Now they all know what you did." She stepped toward me, trembling. "Kevin, please." No, my voice cut through hairs. "You don't get to hide anymore. You don't get to act innocent while I pretend I don't know what happened." Tears welled in her eyes. "I didn't mean for any of it to happen. I was drunk. I made a terrible mistake." "A mistake?" My anger finally surfaced. "You didn't slip up with one person. You went off with 3. You let it happen. You participated. And then you tried to bury it." She shook her head, crying harder. "I swear I didn't want to hurt you. I wasn't thinking." "You were thinking about yourself," I snapped. "Not me. Not us." She reached out for my hand. I pulled mine away. "You can't fix this," I said coldly. "Not after what I saw." "I'll do therapy. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't leave me," she begged. I took a breath and delivered the final blow. "I know about the STD test, too," I said. "You did that because you knew something was wrong. Because of what you did." Her face drained of color. "Kevin, please." "No more excuses," I said with finality. "I'm done. I'm filing for divorce." She staggered backward as if the words hit her physically. "You're serious?" she whispered. "Yes." "You destroyed this marriage." "Not me." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please, don't leave me. I love you." "I loved you," I said quietly. "But the woman I loved doesn't exist anymore." I walked out, feeling nothing but emptiness. Weeks later, her test came back positive. Mine, thankfully, was negative. Her family and friends were shocked at the evidence. The perfect image she'd spent years crafting shattered instantly. She lost everyone's trust. Months passed. The divorce went through. She didn't get a cent. She called for a while, begging for forgiveness, but her voice eventually disappeared from my life. I moved forward. She faded into the past. And for the first time in a long time, freedom didn't feel lonely. It felt deserved. Thank you for listening.